Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Palm Master video, and today let's talk about everyone's favorite Sinnoh Frontier Brain, Argenta and Skarmory. Okay, probably not everyone's favorite, but it's probably someone's favorite out there. So, shoutouts to that, one or two Argenta fans. But anyways, this unit is good. This unit is really, really good. And yeah, as usual, we will be pulling for it later tonight when it comes out live. So stay tuned for that, right? And yeah, this unit is great. I think it's pretty underrated. So a lot of great things this unit does, right? It's a support, first and foremost, it is a support. And when you look at some of the upsides that it has, right, it's number one, it's a big tank, especially physically, right? I mean, it's pretty good as a special tank, but it's not as good as it is as a physical tank. Like, if you look at special, it has, look, what, 297 special defenses. If you have it 6-star EX, 150, that's what, 353 special defense, so that's obviously a lot, right? So you do have that, and you have like what, max barricade buddies too, +2 special defense for your team, stalwart, like, yeah. But it's more so the physical side. Yeah, if you max out, that's 373 defense. Also, yeah, it's Tech EX roll, which I believe buffs it even more. Yeah, if you get Tech EX, this thing has almost 400 physical defense, right? With like 845 HP, which is, again, a lot, right? Obviously, not a lot of people is gonna completely max it out, but, you know, regardless, it's still a lot of physical defense, right? And it's not just that, because if you also look in the kit, right? First of all, the trainer move gives you, you know, +4 defense buffs, right? You get endurance, which obviously helps you tank. And yeah, you also get a lot of other things like overwhelm, debuff opponent's physical attack, right? You get hidden heal for gradual healing. You have sterner stuff, which further reduces damage by 20%. 20% damage reduction on physical moves, right? So yeah, inflicted heal, 40% chance of healing when you sword stance. Vigilance, quick cure, natural remedy, first aid 4, right? Just tons of stuff just to help you tank. Recuperation, right, at, I believe, 4 out of 5? Yeah, 4 out of 5. So just a massive tank. Mostly physical, but, you know, special wise, it could still take a few hits there too. And yeah, after that, you have physical attack, speed, or physical attack defense, speed, accuracy, and crit buffs. We talk about the physical defense buffs, right? The train move, +4 physical defense, but also +4 speed, which is very much needed, because if you want to talk about any downsides, right, it is slow. Again, we're at 150 6-star EX, 337, which doesn't look that bad, but again, that's 150 6-star EX, 337. It's not anything crazy, right? And Tech EX doesn't buff speed for some reason, so but yeah, it does give you +4 speed at least. You can max out your team's crit for sure, right? Sword stance buffs your own attack by 2, but the passive, it has stat share, right? When you use a status move, right? So it has to be sword stance in this case. It buffs your team's attack as well. So yeah. So yeah, you stat share the sword stance, and I believe there's also accuracy buffs, right? Oh yeah, there it is. +2 accuracy for your team when your Pokemon use status moves as well. So yeah, when you use sword stance, it's +2 for your team's physical attack, and also +2 for your team's accuracy, which max accuracy buffers are very rare. Like, accuracy buffers in of itself are pretty rare in this game, but like max accuracy buffers, you know, without needing RNG, is extremely rare, I'd say. So yeah, that's really neat as well. And did I miss anything in terms of stats? I think that's all, right? There's also special defense stats on max move, but, you know, that's not very reliable or reliably used. It also has debuffs, right? Again, overwhelm 9 over here. That's you know, that's something, right? If you just want the opponents to do even less physical damage to you. Then there's defense crush as well at 4 out of 5. It is 4 out of 5, but it exists, right? So that's definitely a pretty nice 4 out of 5 node, I'd say. Like, I feel like its 4 out of 5 nodes are both pretty good. Defense crush 9 and recuperation 2, 40% heal every sync, right? That's just really nice. Unfortunately, I mean, it's good. It's objectively good for the unit itself, but like, yeah. So on top of that, we also have team special you know, not special, super effective and physical move up next, right? And it's a lot of physical move up next. This is almost like Acerola and Tapu Bulu levels, right? So first of all, you do have the team first super sync, so your first sync move you get super effective up next for your entire team, right? Which is nice. But then outside of that, you also have just so much physical move up next. Like every time you use status moves, right? You give your game physical move up next, right? So that's pretty nice. You know, guaranteed chance, right? +1, and then there's also, I believe, I mean, there's more. There's the max and sync move, physical move up next, boost if you have it, 5. Team Brawn gain over here, right? Extra +1 physical move up next on your training move. So yeah, you have a lot of physical move up next options. I think I haven't really counted, but I think Acerola has more, or at least more reliable. But I don't know. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. So next up we have yeah, it has max moves. The max moves aren't like super interesting because it's just max steel spike and max guard. I mean, it's physical attack. If you're wondering if it's gonna do that much damage, well, it can max out its own physical attack and crit, right? So I mean, it's not gonna be terrible, but I mean, that 150 5-star EX, 250 physical attack is not a lot, but it does buff your defense by 2. So your training move plus max steel spike can max out your team's physical defense. So that's nice, at least on that end for sure. And then you also have max guard, which is if you want to tank even more, then there you go, right? So yeah, that's just a lot of the upsides of this unit. And after some of the downsides, there's just one big one, right? It is slow. It is slow. Gauge is a big issue, right? And it's not just because the speed isn't super high. It's also because sword stance, right? Like you're a support and you have to use gauges, and if you want to max, you know, physical attack out, that's like what, 3 sword stances? Sword stances? Is that the proper? Yeah, I think it is. But yeah, you have to use like 3 sword stance, and like that's six gauges, right? I mean, obviously you don't use them at once. It's every single turn you use one. And you know, for support, like most supports, right, the first few turns they don't spend any gauges at all, right? You just, you know, most of the time it's like the first 2 turns at least, right? You don't spend any gauges, so 0 gauge cost from your support. So you know, you could spend those gauges either to set an early field effect, or you know, if you have a really good support that could just max everything out in one turn, like a blue, right? Champion blue, and then you know your damage dealer could just start attacking immediately, or if they could max everything out relatively early, like, you know, you can start attacking on turn 2. But with Skarmory over here, not only is your speed low, you again also have to spend gauges to buff a physical attack, which kind of sucks. So yeah, that's, I guess, the big like gauge issue, right? But there are some ways to deal with it, so it's not like crazy bad, right? Again, you do have the +4 speed for your entire team, right? So, you know, if you could run her with some like units that do have good base speed, that's definitely gonna help a lot, right? But outside of that, you also have stuff like Charging Infliction 1, so you could at least get 1 gauge back when you use Sword Stance, and then Infliction Freebie 9 if you have it at 5 out of 5. Right, so that's guaranteed free move next with Sword Stance. Although I don't really feel like this is that much better in comparison to Charging Infliction 1. Obviously, it is like better, right? But there's like a few things. First of all, you have to like, you know, you have to pick up one of these other 10 energy nodes to get to this. And also, if you look at like a completely free move next, the highest move gauge cost like move is Sword Stance, right? Like again, I talk about that, but like it's not, you know, the other move is Metal Claw, so it is a 1 gauge spam, so it's like not that bad, right? So like, okay, you get free move next for like a 2 gauge move, and then Charging Infliction, right? You know, once you're done using it and you go to Metal Claw, that's like 1 gauge, so that's basically like free move next. So I don't think it's like that big of a deal, but yeah, there are some ways to deal with it. Quick tempo here as well, right? So yeah, again, it's, the other move is a 1 gauge move, so it's not like that bad, right? But it's definitely going to be an issue, I feel like, in a lot of teams. So just make sure to just bring someone fast, man. So yeah, that's the one big downside it has, I feel. Maybe you could also say, oh, the grid is expensive, but it's a support, man. Like again, you're never really just gonna pick up everything, you know, on a sports grid, just because like different teams have different needs, right? So you have to pick accordingly to your team's needs and the stage needs. So I don't think that's like that big of a deal in comparison. So moving on to, let's talk about Lucky Skill and Sync grids. Lucky Skill wise, I know it's a tank, and I know it has Vigilance built in the grid, so you don't have to pick up Vigilance, right? If you just, you know, you have it 3 out of 5, you can just pick it up in the grid. Again, you could still pick up Vigilance if you want, because of the fact that, you know, that you just save energy, because it's 10 energy, and you have to, like, just to get there, it's like for 11 energy, so that's like 21 energy off the grid. Although like over here there's like a decent amount of like good stuff, so it's not like it's a really bad idea to come down here. So not picking up Vigilance for your Lucky Skill, I feel like is a legitimate option for Skarmory, right? I feel like it's like I personally, I don't think I'm gonna go for Vigilance on Skarmory, right? As for some of the other options, personally, what I'd go for is one of either Adrenaline or Move Gauge Refresh too, right? And which one I would go for depends on which one my deluxe cookie lands on first, because no one got that many deluxe cookies. Just gotta live with what you got, right? So yeah, again, Move Gauge Refresh, that's pretty obvious, you know, gauges, right? And yeah, Adrenaline, also slightly obvious, you know, support EX sync with that, boom, -1 sync boot countdown, we're good, right? So that's nice. So going into the sync grid, 1-5 again, that's whatever. All right, to 2 out of 5. Let's see. So 2 out of 5, you do have a lot of really nice stuff. Like even like stat nodes, you have like an HP plus 40 over here, low key, which is pretty darn good. But there's just so many nice stuff added to 2 out of 5. The number one thing I'd pick up is Quick Tempo over here, right? Because Quick Tempo is just that good. But I like Sterner stuff. Obviously, if you're not fighting a physical stage, then there's no point. Also, if you're not fighting a physical stage, would you bring Skarmory? I don't know. Again, its special defense is not bad, right? But I mean, well, if you really need it, you know, just a physical support, right? So yeah, you could do something like that, pick up Quick Tempo, and then depending on the stage, Stalwart as well, right? Natural Remedy, quick your Team Sharp entry, I highly recommend Team Sharp entry, right? Yeah, I mean, if you don't need Stalwart, it saves you 1 energy, I guess. As for anything else, I believe you barely don't afford this. Yeah, you barely don't afford Team Hidden Heal over here, unfortunately. I mean, you could drop one of these if you don't really need any, right? At this stage, your fighting does not really require you to use that, so you could do that. If you don't really need the Team Sharp entry, because, you know, some units, they have like at least +1 crit, don't have to worry about that maybe. Then you just go ahead and like maybe pick up Metal Claw, Move Gauge Refresh, and then like the HP plus 40 over here. As for the rest over here, like there's like 6 more, right? You could either like unbending Stalwart, and then Stat Node, or you could how much does this cost? Okay, you're 1 off, so you can't do that. Actually, you can, right? Yeah, you can if you go here for that 30% chance of NPR on a 1 MP base move, which I wouldn't really recommend, but yeah. Those are some options for 2 out of 5. So as for 3 out of 5, you could go with something like this, where you get Sword Stance Charging Infliction, right, for the gauges. It is an awkward path, right? And I know no Quick Tempo or Sterner stuff, which slightly sucks, but it's just, if you want to round it out so you could get Team Sharp entry, and then also get Team, or, well, I guess Brongian isn't that important, but, you know, maybe Hidden Heal. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. Maybe not that path. That path probably not as worth it. Maybe it's just better to spend it on stuff like Sterner stuff, Quick Tempo over here, right? Yeah, now that I think about it, I like that better. All right, I changed my own mind. Great. So yeah, maybe you could do something like this, right? Natural Remedy, Quick Cure, Team Sharp entry, I mean, this last one could really be whatever over here, right? Just, again, depending on your needs. It could be Team Sharp Edge, it could be Vigilance, it could be First Aid 4, right? Just whichever one, right? Do you want to clear the stage, you know, faster? Also, you know, what's the crit situation on your team? Again, you don't need this. It's not, like, necessary because you do have Guard Hit All Plus. It's just, it saves you a turn, right? It saves you turns so you could do some other stuff because there's a lot of turns Skarmory wants to, you know, use, right? I mean, assuming you have, if you don't have this, right, that's 2 turns on that, 3 turns on this, right? That's 5 turns already, 6 turns with the trainer move. So that's already what, you know, up to your second sync, you're using moves, right? So, yeah, right? And you want to use your sword stance so you could get the physical move up next, right? So you want to use 3, even if your team, you know, if your other damage dealers don't need all 3 sword stances, you know, an extra 1 means an extra physical move up next, right? So, yeah, you could definitely go with stuff like that, or you could even just pick up this Team Inflicted heal, right? I don't like it that much though, cause I know it's like 40%, but it's like, is it really worth it though? It's like 10 energy. Like, I'd rather just have First Aid 4, right? You know what? Yeah. I mean, you could go for this if you want, but I don't really recommend it. I'd recommend, again, even First Aid 4 over that. If you don't need any of this stuff over here, though, you could honestly have something like an Overwhelm and Team First Super Sync over here if you have anyone on your team that could utilize it. I think its physical defense is enough that you don't need to really go out of your way to debuff the opponent's physical attack as well to help you tank. I mean, you're pretty darn good over there. Just if anyone needs the multipliers, right? If no one needs the multipliers, then, you know, that's whatever. Pick up move, get your fresh instead, obviously. So yeah, I wouldn't really go for anything over here though, right? Yeah, I mean, like, maybe this, but again, if you really want the heals, like, you'd rather just come down here and pick up, like, maybe First Aid, right? So yeah, that's for 3 out of 5. As for 4 out of 5, again, 4 out of 5, it does have a pretty good 4 out of 5 node. So yeah, if you do 4 out of 5, obviously you're going for the defense crush. You're probably going to be going for the overwhelming here as well, right? So yeah, these aren't necessary if you do have a good enough gauge team. Also, if you are picking up defense crush and overwhelm, I'm assuming you're probably not doing as many sword stances, right? This is, again, more so if you're a team that has multipliers based on defense or attack lowering, then maybe it would be a better idea to spend more turns doing this instead of getting physical move up next. Although, I don't know, like, what's the most they cap at, like 30% versus 40% on physical move up next? Maybe, okay, maybe like sync would be a big deal then, right? Okay, so if it's more like sync based, right, then you could do that instead, and then you could maybe pick up super sync or come down and pick up any of these things that you need, right? So just, yeah. Also, recuperation is a nice one too if you are going to sync with Skarmory a lot. More so if you have like the Tech EX roll, which I know, again, it's not going to do like that much, but if someone really just goes for the Tech EX roll, I guess that's also one downside I forgot to mention. The Tech EX roll doesn't really do that much, right? I mean, it's not that great of a sinker, so but yeah, that's yeah. How much physical attack was it again at 150 270 physical attack for Tech EX? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that much, man. Come on. So as for 5 out of 5, again, you do have the infliction freebie, you do have the sync boost, your physical move up next after your sync or max move, right? This isn't a first time only thing, so it's not like that bad, right? So yeah, for this you could probably fork it out to do something like this, right? Like, you don't have to do, actually, I don't know, if you're syncing a decent amount, like, might as well. Also, you know, yeah, I mean, you could do something like this maybe. You have what, 6 left? You can't really pick up any because, you know, a lot of these are like 10s, right? So like, these are definitely, you know, the grid nodes are definitely expensive, but yeah, it's just like you can't really do too much with 6, right? It's like either 10 and then the next one's like 7. It's like a few 8s though over here, so maybe pick up like an unbending right? Perhaps, or let's see, or if you go down like this route, then yeah, you can't really pick up Infliction Freebie unless you drop Sterner Stuff or like this HP node. Which again, the free move next is nice, but I don't feel like it's like that much of an upgrade over Sword Stance Charging Infliction. But I mean, if you have the 5/5, might as well go for it, right? So, because you know, it's not like you could afford this either, because same amount of energy and pathway, similar enough pathway at least. So, anyways, all that being said, I think this is a great unit, right? I think it's pretty underrated in terms of you know, at least the combo I've been seeing on. Like, you know, a lot of people talk about the Neo Champions a lot, right? A lot of people talk about Palmer, even like Giovanni, which is warranted, right? Those are really good units, right? And in my opinion, you should probably try going for them before going for Argenta. But if you do have any leftover gems, which is tough. I don't know how, you know, yeah, unless you just had crazy good luck on all those banners. I'm sure you might have some leftover gems, but again, Argenta would be another unit I'd really recommend. Again, the gauges are definitely a big issue, right? It's not, you know, it's not a perfect unit. This is not Champion Blue, right? We're not talking about Champion Blue, but this is a pretty darn good support that, again, it's a great physical support that gives you a lot of physical move up next, right? Absolute massive physical defensive tank, right? On top of being, again, it's not, because, you know, it's a tank, but it's not like a tank just for the sake of tanking, right? Again, it's great physical support as well, right? You got, again, the defense debuffs if you have 4 to 5, on top of having physical move up next. You can even have super effective up next as well. So it's defense, offense, you got all that in this unit. Even more offense if you want a Tech EX nuke with it. No, that's not a serious thing. But anyways, overall I'd say, like, honestly, this is like a 8.7 out of 10, right? Like, it's a great unit. Maybe you dock it a few points just because, again, other really good banners are up, right? I wouldn't really suggest going for it unless you got the Neo Champions, you got Palmer. Between her and Giovanni, bit of a toss-up. I feel like Giovanni is just, like, the stuff Giovanni gives is a bit more rare, right? But I cannot stress how great these, like, supports have been this year, right? Neo Champion Bead, Tapu Bulu, right? Neo Champion Blue, right? Like, these units, like, these, like, top grade supports, you use them all the time, right? And I don't think Skarmory is as good as any of the 3 I just mentioned, but I feel like Skarmory is just, you know, under that, right? Just under, it's like the next sort of like tier of supports I feel like is you know, someone like Skarmory, right? And it's an amazing unit, man. It is really good. And it just sucks that there's a lot of other really good banners up at the moment, and no one's got you know, infinite gems to really spend. So yeah, anyways, that's really this one. I guess hope you all enjoyed the guys. Think in the comments down below, like, enjoy the videos from our channel for some more Pokemon content, and yeah, I'll see you guys later tonight then when the polls happen. So alright, bye.